All right, hello, good morning, welcome to the show. This is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. As a Tuesday, in fact, it's a Wednesday, the 28th day of February 2024. And significantly, today will not mark the end of February because this year is a leap year. Okay, so today is the 28th day of February, but it's not the last day of February. By His grace, we're alive and we're here. We're yet another edition of the show. Our gratitude to go to the Most High God for the very privilege of being alive and, of course, the opportunity of having another conversation around the top stories making the rounds here in our dear Republic. I'll let you into our panel for the morning's conversation shortly. But let's take a look at the front pages of our newspapers. Daily Graphic, State of the Nation Address, Face Tomorrow with Confidence, President rallies citizenry. High unemployment rate was missing, Minority Leader. State of the Nation Address reflects country's condition. Experts work with parties for credible elections. President to EC. The Ghanaian Times. Our State of the Nation Address 2023. Don't take our territorial integrity for granted. President warns Ghanaians. Our true state is hopelessness. Minority reacts to State of the Nation Address. Government committed to ending external debt restructuring process to stop economic challenges. Drama in Parliament as Minority Caucus delays State of the Nation Address by 2 hours. Daily Guide. 2024 SONA. I will ensure free, fair elections. Akufo-Addo. NDC selects running mate March 7. Performance tracker coming. We've made huge investments in judiciary. Kumasi Airport named after Prempeh I. The New Crusading Guide. 7 December polls. I'll ensure transparent, free and fair elections. Akufo-Addo. Economic restoration will also impact lives. Dr. Stephen Amoah makes strong case for government. Dismissed HR manager, prime suspect in Jurapa Dubai CEO's murder. NPP youth organizer punches Fifi Kwete for attacking Bawumia. Parliamentarians lack the creative ideas. Fishermen. The Insight. Economic hardship. PNM blast Akufo-Addo over appointment of Ofori-Atta as senior presidential advisor. Jospon Group signs deal to build waste treatment plants in Lagos, Nigeria. Towards addressing unemployment crisis, Mahama vows to export nurses under his presidency. Africa's New Day beckons. Professor Vijay Prashad rallies third world countries to a new order. U.S. soldier self-immolates in opposition to Israel's genocide in Gaza. The Herald. Mahama keeps Jane Opoku-Agyeman as running mate for 2024 elections amidst NDC debates. Cletus Avoka explains why Ghana MPs are corrupt. Bawumia's campaign team member furious at Ofori-Atta's appointment. Ecuador, set to unseat Ghana as second largest cocoa producer. Akufo-Addo jabs Bawumia in 2024 SONA. Atta-Achieng's PR job for SML compromises parliamentary and KPMG probes. $1.5 billion GMPC Gensa ghost revisited. The Informer. Ghost names on GES payroll. Special prosecutor saves Ghana 5.6 million cedis. Elections 2024. Security agencies ready for troublemakers. Akufo-Addo warns. Towards tackling corruption in elections, delegate system must be scrapped. CDD advocates. Choose Bawumia over Mahama. PNM urges Ghanaians. Jospon crosses borders. Engages Nigeria to build waste treatment plants in Lagos. Drive for digital revolution. Bawumia hints of fintech fund for startups. The Inquisitor. Assessment of Northern Region GS payroll. OSP stops ghosts from chopping 5.6 million cedis as Martin Amido and teacher unions' noises come to nothing. At press launch of 3i Summit, Fintech Innovation Fund coming, VIP reveals. NDC meets over Mahama's running mate. Propaganda against SML/GRA deal must stop. Atta-Achien. The Daily Statesman. We're taking things to higher level. President Akufo-Addo assures. Dr. Bawumia, Africa's path to a digital revolution is through fintech. Special courts task force to address Boko crisis. Gideon Buaku justifies timing of recent reshuffle. The Daily Searchlight. Fallout from SONA. Nana forgets human rights. Nana forgets Kantanka, boost Toyota. Nana campaigns for Bawumia at SONA. Africa's path to a digital revolution is through fintechs. Dr. Bawumia. The Big 18 and Human Rights Coalition urges President Akufo-Addo not to assent to LGBTQ+ bill. The Ghanaian Publisher. I take both blame and credit of government, says Akufo-Addo. 13th African Games Committee replies Ablakwa. Maternal mental health disorder is not madness, WHO. The custodian will showcase our achievements, Akufo-Addo to Ghanaians. My indefatigable vice president leads government digitalization. Akufo-Addo accepts responsibility for economic challenges. The new finder. I take both blame and credit for my government's performance, President Akufo-Addo. Minority leader unhappy with president's silence on unemployment. 5.8 billion cedis paid to bondholders, Akufo-Addo. NDC to meet to consider Mohammed's choice of running mate. Daily Post. Baumialitis, as Akufo-Addo packages lies as State of the Nation address. Ghanaians won't miss you. Atufosin tells Akufo-Addo and Baumia. Don't give up hope. Mahama encourages frustrated youth. And that's about it for the front pages. We're back shortly.
In Kufuor's time, one of the people who advised and helped him develop a strong CD was my running mate, Mahamudu Bawumia. Then he was deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana. It's one of the reasons I brought him to come and join me, that we will work on the CD and create again a strong CD that will be able to allow us to develop our economy and allow our traders and our to be able to develop. I'm glad to be able to report, Mr. Speaker, that the economic management team, under the stellar leadership of the strong, brilliant economist, Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia, has risen to the challenge, and the hard work is beginning to show positive results. I don't see what we gain by attacking the record of our own government. When you do that, and you become then party candidate, what are you going to tell the people of Ghana? Oh, it was Akufo-Addo who misled you and mismanaged affairs. I will be different. Even though I am MPP, I'm still under the Oslo sign. I'm different. And the people of Ghana will be that gullible. No. Let's be serious.
I am not Kitwabi. I mean, walking in area, but Bibi Kakraka were chilling and made it so and Vice President of Abakasa. Already the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Juan Fabian Sordo, the President of the Republic of Ghana was January 2025. President of Ghana 2025. Mr. Current Vice President, President to be, you are invited. Oh, yeah, ready. Also, yeah, ready. Madam, 1 second. 1 minute. Your Excellency, I'm the moderator. My senior brother, Honorable, took the ring out of me. Yes. He said I invited.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. We members of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community completely disown the statement that the Honorable Katie Hammond has made. He has expressed his own desires. Political desire. Our desire is that leader who will lead Ghana once more. Who will lead Ghana once more into its position in the Committee of Nations, so that we can command that respect which Ghana is known for. That is the leader we praying to Allah, that Allah Ta'ala should give us that kind of leader. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum. Hey, what's it? Oh, hey, Nanto. So obviously, the vice president.
Wa alaikum salam. Welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. With me on the show this morning, I have Dr. Dixon Adumako Kisi, who's the Member of Parliament for the Anya Soutum constituency. He's also a medical practitioner. Good morning, Doc.
Morning.
Right. Also with me on the show this morning is the NDC's parliamentary candidate for the Ebura Asebu Kwaman Kesi constituency. He's also a former deputy Minister for Communications, Felix Kwachi Ofosu. Felix, good morning.
Good morning, man.
Right. So imagine getting rewarded for doing something you already do every single day. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, that's exactly what Momo Season is all about. There's something for everyone. Download the Momo app on Play Store or App Store and use Momo Pay for your day-to-day transactions to a merchant, either through the QR code or merchant ID, and stand a chance of winning 1,000 cedis weekly and other amazing prizes. Our merchants are also not left out of the reward. Receive payments and win. Keep using your Momo Pay on the Momo app and get rewarded. There are lots and lots of exciting prizes for everyone. So what are we doing today? Transact more with Momo Pay and more points and win big this Momo season. Visit Momo Merchant application.mtn.com.gh for your Momo for Business account today. It's Momo season, so just Momo it with Momo Pay. Terms and conditions apply. And use Kel Kids toothpaste flavored with strawberry that gives a perfect taste for kids and makes them develop a personal attitude and love for brushing their teeth always. Kel Kids toothpaste protects child's gum, prevents cavities, and makes the teeth strong and healthy with freshness all day. Kel Kids toothpaste is recommended for children between the ages of 2 and 6. It is a product from Samara Company Limited, producers of Sasso, and is approved by the Food and Drugs Authority. Kel Kids, happy smile. And the pains of climbing the stairs when not exercising could be challenging for all ages, but worry no more. Lifts and elevators have got you covered with the best portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators on the market today. It's a simple self-supported elevator for both homes and offices, and guess what? It can lift your goods too. Wheelchairs can fit in, and they come in 3 custom-made models. It is affordable and can be installed within 3 days. Visit Lift and Elevators at Sakuman or just call them on 0200535515 or send a mail to elevators@gmail.com for consultations and the best solutions in easy vertical movements. Amen Scientific and Herbal and Alternative Medical Hospital is organizing a free health screening which is open to the general public. This is a way of saying thank you to Ghanaians, and what can be more rewarding than this? The free screening includes fertility tests, prostate, stroke, diabetes, hypertension, fibroid ulcers, hepatitis B, and many more. Note that the medical screening is free, but patients with disease conditions will pay a token for their medications. Visit Amen Scientific at Dominia, Snake Flats, Down or Clagon near the Sherman Under Bridge and all the other branches across the country. You can call Amen Scientific on 020-722-9505 or 0244-227192 to book your appointments. Amen Scientific and Alternative Medical Hospital. Allah Shafi, God is the healer. Right, gentlemen, so let's start off with the state of the nation. And I'll start off with the headlines. So, the Ghanaian Times, I see the daily graphic is there. Ghanaian Times says, don't take our territorial integrity for granted. President warns Ghanaians. Our true state is hopelessness. Minority reacts to SONA. Government committed to ending external debt restructuring process to stop economic challenges. Drama in Parliament as Minority Caucus delays SONA by 2 hours. Daily Guide, I will ensure free, fair elections, Akufo-Addo. We've made huge investments in judiciary. Kumasi Airport named after Prempeh the First. Performance tracker coming. New Crusading Guide, 7 December polls. I'll ensure transparent, free and fair elections, Akufo-Addo. Okay. The Inside doesn't have anything on that. Okay. The Herald. Akufo-Addo jabs Bawumia in 2024 SONA. The Informer. Okay. They also don't have... okay, security agencies ready for troublemakers, Akufo-Addo wants. Daily Statesman, we're taking things to higher level, Akufo-Addo assures. Special courts and task force to address Boku crisis. The Daily Searchlight, Nana campaigns for Bawumia at Sona. Nana forgets human rights. Nana forgets Kantanka boost Toyota. The Ghanaian publisher, I take both blame and credit of government, says Akufo-Addo. The Custodian will showcase our achievements, Akufo-Addo, to Ghanaians. My indefatigable vice president leads government digitalization. Akufo-Addo accepts responsibility for economic challenges. The New Finder, I take both blame and credit for my government's performance, President Akufo-Addo. Minority leader unhappy with president's silence on unemployment. A 5.8 billion cedis paid to bondholders, Akufo-Addo. Daily Post, Bawumia Litis, as Akufo-Addo packages lies as State of the Nation address. Ghanaians won't miss you, Atufosin tells Akufo-Addo and Bawumia. And some of the other headlines, blame me solely for economic mishaps, Akufo-Addo. We stumbled, but we're rising again, Akufo-Addo. No doom saw in 7 years, despite financial crisis, Akufo-Addo. Oferiata's removal won't affect IMF terms. Government to unveil presidential policy on football. Government secures alternative funding for La General Hospital. Gold for oil has significantly reduced pressures on forex. Akufo-Addo State of the Nation address hopeless. Atufosin. Government to launch performance tracker in March. This is a digitalization government. Akufo-Addo touts Ghana's digital achievements. Okay. 5.8 billion paid to bondholders. Let's find ways to improve free SHS. I have no doubt Black Stars will make us proud again. Akufo-Addo proposes a long-term approach to repairing national team. Okay, so that's about it. Doc, let me start off with you. Your initial comments on the State of the Nation address. Initially, the impression was created that the minority were going to boycott. I mean, the deputy majority whip had indicated that MPs were supposed to be seated at 9. We were here waiting for the 10 a.m. ceremony, and it took forever.
To 12 o'clock.
Yes, and then I don't know what actually happened. And then you had the president, you had your leader, you had the minority leader. What do you make of the State of the Nation address? Yesterday I asked the panel to tell me how many times they think that COVID and Russia-Ukraine will be mentioned in the address. The Honorable Collins, Admoku Mensah, said 3 times. And this is his colleague panelist, said that it will be in every sentence. Every paragraph, actually.
Yeah.
That's what he said. But it appears that the president went very, very low on COVID and Russia-Ukraine. But let me hear you. I guess the highlight was the president taking responsibility and saying the buck stops with him.
Okay.
Yes, somewhat a departure from COVID and Russia-Ukraine, and to telling us about the role of the vice president, and of course, all the many things that he said that he's been able to do. The minority leader has raised the issue of unemployment. That's the biggest thing. And the president came to office with a promise of jobs, jobs, jobs.
Yeah.
He came into office in 2017 with jobs, jobs, and jobs. And in addressing the nation, he didn't deal with the issue of unemployment. There are those who also said that the president was quick to remember and take action on naming an airport, but he could not remember the displaced citizens with respect to the dam spillage, that thing that happened, which was a national disaster. He forgot completely about it, but he remembered to name an airport.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Randy. Let me, first of all, take this opportunity to start with events leading up to the SONA. And one of the key remarkable ones for the NPP is the fact that we have now a new leader. And respectfully, let me thank Osei Chairman Sabunsu, who's now known in almost many homes as a very powerful, long-serving government official. And I must say a big thank you for his service to the country, and also state on TV that we've learned a lot from him. For me, I have learned a lot, especially in this 8th Parliament from him. And I think that now that we have a new leader, we are hopeful that within this short period, he would also bring fresh ideas and bring on board new energy. And it's almost as if Parliament has started afresh for us, the majority. And in addition, I think that the minority leadership will also need to readjust to our current front men and women, or women. And at this point, let me commend Patricia J. Honorable from Asokwa, who's also now been moved into the capacity of deputy leader. And I must say that we're very excited and very ready to work with our new leaders. And Alex Tete, who's also from Akontombra, I think, another fantastic person. So, be it as it may, I think that we're ready to see the rest of this session through, and also see how leadership will realign some of the committees, because with our new standing orders, we now have, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 24 committees, and now that some people who were chairpersons are deputy ministers or so, and some have also been relieved of their other duties, some reorganization will happen in the majority caucus with reference to what we call committees. Now, State of the Nation address, literally, as the president stated, is something that by constitution he has to do. And I think that going into yesterday, I stated that it will be based off largely the last budget that Ken Ofori-Atta delivered last year. And that because we are largely on autopilot with regards to the IMF arrangement, I was not anticipating extraordinary departure from what we all know, which is the fact that we cannot take on heavy new government expenditures, and we cannot depart from agreements that have been literally etched in stone for the next 12 to 24 months and beyond. So that was something that all Ghanaians were very mindful of, and some even thought that there will be nothing new in the State of the Nation address. But let me say that in one breath, I must admit that after listening to the State of the Nation address, one thing came to mind, that the president is not out of touch with Ghanaians. And why do I say that? I say that because Boko has been out of my purview for a bit, personally. Though I hear accounts of stories and things happening in Boko and the likes of Oti, I think it had been out of my purview, and I haven't been paying particular attention to that. And I think that the president brought the issue to the country, and to remind the country that we have some conflicts within our country. And then he went further to show us that he is very much concerned about ECOWAS as a bloc. And he showed, the contributions that have been made to our security services. And I think that is monumental. And I really appreciate the added infrastructure and added equipment and gear to our security services. And I'm stating the likes of Defense Minister and what he's done. I'm stating the likes of the former Interior Minister and the contributions he also has done for the security services. And let me also state that I think that overall, speaking of employment, which the minority spoke about, the security services, to some extent, though not the quantums Ghanaians would love, I think over the past 7 years have employed quite a bit of our brothers and sisters and cousins and nieces into the army, into customs, into immigration, into fire service and all of that. And personally, I'm always getting phone calls, text messages, and demands for people who wish to join the security services. So if not at all, I think that the president should have also added the fact that the security services has become a bit attractive, more attractive. Interestingly, in the US, they beg people to join the army. They beg people to join the security services. But we are in a country where maybe because of the challenges of our unemployment, people rather are rushing into the security services. I've seen recruiters for American Army, and when they tell you the challenges they have in getting young men and women to join the army, sometimes it's interesting, and I wish we had the reverse in Ghana where people were not even excited. But I think that part of what the NPP has done is to make the security services a bit more attractive. So I think that based on that alone, and the fact that the president also came down to earth and admitted that there are challenges, and I love the fact that he's been a leader and saying that, listen, I take full responsibility. He didn't shy away from that, and I think that is remarkable. That Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo says that, hey, despite all the challenges, the buck stops at my desk, and I'm fully responsible for everything that has happened, and he laid little, as you rightly said, blame on the COVID, Russia, Ukraine, and all the other regional and global issues. He said that Ghanaians should be patient with him, and he will accept the blame, which is also quite good from my experience with a former president who was as he said, the phrase I remember him by is Ojuanfu. He was hearing nothing, see no evil, hear no evil. But there's rather a president who, in his major address to the nation, admits that there are issues. I take responsibility for them, and we will rise again. And I think that for me shows that he's in touch. And then moving on to or into the SONA, I love the fact that he made mention that some road infrastructural development documents were made available to Parliament for us to peruse last time, and he won't revisit that. However, the government is working actively on a tracker for the various projects that government has done, and that it will show timelines, it will show actual locations for people to verify on their own, and I think that this is remarkable use of technology, and he stated that there'll be enough detail for everybody to peruse and come to an appreciation of the things that government has done. Knowing the need to show and tell, or to show working, as some people say, I think that the tracker, hopefully, I don't know when it's going to be finally launched, but I think that when it comes, it will be a major blow to those who say they see nothing. I, for one, recently drove to Kwewu, and I see the active work happening on the Nsawam-Pokwasi Road. Granted, it's not at a pace that I really would wish. I wish it was
before you go to Nsawam, how did you find the road?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That I really would have wished that the pace was much faster, based on what I know elsewhere, and I think that more focus is needed on this road, because it's a major thing and a major headache in terms of the traffic still between there and Nsawam, and in fact damage to our cars, because some of the potholes in that thing is quite heavy. But I really think that many people are seeing that, and really, I'm praying to the Almighty God that within the next 3 months, we can see some major improvement, to the extent that based on this major improvement, that people see what their dollar or cedi is being used for. Now, beyond that, he stated education and the fact that 7 STEM schools are operational, and Fifi would agree to me that Felix. I always get you and your secretary mixed up. Felix would agree that the STEM schools are quite heavy, much heavier than the E-blocks, and I always say that one STEM school is about 20 E-blocks combined. And if we have 7 of these operational, then you're looking about 7 times 2, about 140 E-blocks put together. And that, for me, is a huge investment in education, and is remarkable. And people should visit. I've seen one in Abomusu, fantastic. And it's such a departure from the old. And I think that even the equipments in the school alone, we must admit, high-end, top-end, and now our TVET infrastructure is very much bigger than Ghana Toyota in terms of the equipment, and these are very powerful things. So I think the sooner, if you do a careful reading of the things that the president said, he really captures his 7 years in office, and I think that he outlines also 2 or 3 things that he wishes to work on and complete before he leaves office. And I think that he mentioned Kumasi, the airport in Kumasi, and I believe that for me is exciting, because I think 2 weeks ago, the new finance minister made mention of the fact that payment has been released to ensure that work on the Kumasi airport, which now I know will be named after Prempeh the First, has been worked on assiduously. And beyond that, he also added, I believe, one more project. I don't remember which one, but that he would want to also commission. And I believe that these are powerful things, in addition to all the many things that we are looking at. But by and large, for good or bad reasons, I am happier because I made a strong argument that La General definitely will see some facelift. And this I did in Parliament. And for him to make mention of the $7.5 million made available to commence the work at the La General Hospital, for me, makes me happy, because any health infrastructure added to Greater Accra region reduces the burden of the average Ghanaian. And I'm excited that La General finally, whether for good or bad reasons, has seen itself in the in a very important official document, and I'm hoping that once this work has commenced, whether the MPP or the NDC next year, La General still must go on, and that is why continuity in governance is very important. So by and large, I think that the president, did what I was expecting. One, he showed that he knows his country, he knows what the challenges are, he's taking responsibility. Some were begging that he takes responsibility. He's done it, and I think that yes, saw the reshuffle bit, got delayed, but better late than never. That's what the adage says. So by and large, I think that the president has done well. He's covered a lot of grounds, and if people peruse it, I think is a well thought out document, and he's in touch with Ghanaians, and he admits that we are down but not out, and we will rise, and Felix is aware that interest rate of 53 is now around 23.
Interest rate?
No. Inflation, which was 53, is now around 20. And if things go the way we are going, where PURC, which I think we'll come to later, is looking at reducing tariffs on the energy and water front, though corporate, I think it will be felt by the average client, which then will trickle down. So I think that if things should go the way they are going, as we turn, by June, July. I remember this video that said by June, July, no be when COVID started. By June, July, there na inyema aye better.
You were in Parliament. Did the president say that the Attorney General has saved Ghana 10 trillion cedis?
In fact, I think it's in his document.
10 trillion cedis?
No, I think it's in document. And was it 10 trillion or 10 million? I thought it was 10 million. It's in the document.
I guess.
Yeah.
10 trillion.
Well, it's
has to be
that's like $1 trillion.
Yes, it has to be.
Is very likely that it may be typographical, but I think it's in the document.
And did he also say that SSNIT has registered 600,000 people, private sector people?
That I heard. And I am waiting for SSNIT to...
But SSNIT itself has spoken. They issued a statement...
Today?
No.
Or yesterday?
No, just last week.
Last week.
The Director General appeared before Public Accounts Committee.
Correct. I remember 70,000.
Yeah, you were there. Yes.
I remember
They've moved
70,000.
from a figure to 71,000. So what they have actually added is about 60,000.
Yeah.
They had 14,000 and they...
So that might also be a typo, but I can't speak...
The 600,000.
I can't speak for that now.
Okay.
So I think those are two things that some clarification will happen. And that one, sometimes, yes, we'll put the blame on, people who prepare the document. These things, once in a while. I remember Mahama missing pages when he was given
but that's different from...
No, I'm just saying that these things...
I'm just saying that if...
These things do happen.
If you're running an economy...
yes.
With a GDP of 74 billion...
Yeah.
And you can say that the Attorney General has saved the country 10 trillion cedis.
No,
it should even occur to you that there's something...
Yes. I agree with you. I think that certainly is a mistake. And it might be due to the conversion, because most of these cases are in dollars. Most of these cases. I can cite the likes of the UK.
No, but I'm saying that.
Yeah. I'm just saying that whoever...
How do you begin to speak in trillions? How?
Whoever may have done the conversion from dollar to cedi, and rightly so, people would expect the president to quote in cedis, not dollars. And I think that
Anyway.
certainly,
Okay.
I will. This one, the president says we shouldn't blame anybody.
So from
but
yesterday,
I'll blame his.
from yesterday, when the president made these public statements
Yes.
and mentioned these figures, are we saying that his office, the Ministry of Information, everybody else, has not heard this and has not seen the need to clarify something that is going to go into the Hansard of Parliament?
Yeah.
Is that not the case?
Yes.
Something which has been broadcast to the entire globe.
The world.
If indeed
Yeah.
these were mistakes, if indeed the president misread or whoever drafted the statement made mistakes,
Yeah.
between when the statement was made around 2 p.m. or 1 p.m. yesterday and today, nobody thinks that it is worth at least clarifying those issues?
This will be sorted out for sure, because during the arguments that will be made by both the majority and minority, I'm sure that this issue, especially of the 10 trillion cedis,
Yeah,
not
but
dollars.
must it come to the debate?
no,
in the
I-
House?
I am
Parliament
looking-
did not produce the document.
I can only talk for what will happen.
Because the only impression
Yeah.
that it creates is that government stands by those figures.
I
That's the reasonable conclusion.
I'm of the opinion that the clarifications will come, and sometimes, yes, we want to. I believe in making a rush to clarify, but from your media experience that it will be more appropriate that they make sure that they are correct this time, because if you go and correct and give out even another erroneous figure, then the final correction will be bordering on integrity. So I think that we what is very obvious is that I think that the 10 trillion may have been clerical error due to conversion of dollar figures or pounds to cedis, and I'm expecting the likes of the Asante Bediotus in his circles to find a way to address this.
Did you find it strange that the dam spillage did not feature in the State of the Nation address?
I think that one thing we need to admit, not everything can show up in the State of the Nation.
Yes.
And it would have been very good if we had update in terms of that, because a lot has happened.
You see, why I find that omission a bit critical, and it's something that we've spoken about here. You see,
It's a major disaster.
sometimes we also need to be a bit sensitive, whether we think that there is a wrong narrative, there's a misconception and all that. We shouldn't even play into those things,
Okay.
assuming
Okay.
that there are even misconceptions and wrong narratives.
Okay.
When this disaster occurred, the president went there. He misspoke. People said that he was engaged in a joke or he spoke in jest. The little I know about leadership is that in crisis, you don't do those things. Assuming that was even...
Culturally.
Yeah, assuming that was even the reason.
Culturally.
Now, beyond that, as we speak today,
Yeah.
for something that displaced about 50,000 Ghanaians,
Yes.
we have not seen a government intervention. The Minister of Finance announced something.
No, he went there.
No,
and
I'm
made a
saying that
donation
beyond that, the
Okay.
Minister of Finance announced
in the budget.
something in the budget.
Yeah.
The government announced the setting up of a huge ministerial committee made up of, I'm sure, half of the cabinet of Ghana. We were told that they had made contacts with international organizations and others for support. We have seen private sector initiatives led by a member of parliament, which
And-
has led to the resettling
and NADMO.
of people. NADMO has not been involved in the resettlement.
That is true.
Yes. In the resettlement of people, I've sat here and I've asked the question. So, but for these public spirited individuals and private organizations, are we suggesting that the victims of this spillage, this national disaster, something caused by a state organization,
Machination.
a state organization,
Yeah.
something which we were told was done to save electricity for all of Ghana. So some people were displaced and had to suffer so that everybody else lives. And we know what the state intervention has been or has not been as we speak. And this will not find space in the state of the nation.
Like Boko?
Yes.
You have a point. And I think that the onus is on NADMO, respectfully, to come and clear their on this. And then to
it's
also,
not beyond NADMO.
Oh, I'm
because
just saying
I'm saying that the government
has
announced a committee chaired by the chief of staff.
Correct.
With like half of the cabinet ministers on it. So it's an issue that is gone beyond NADMO.
You have a strong point there. But either way, by constitution, our disasters are largely under the ambit of Interior Ministry and NADMO. And I think that maybe, I don't want to jump the gun, but knowing Henry Quartey and him now at Interior Ministry, I'm sure that Numwe, if he's listening, I'm sure that he'll do something remarkable that would appease those who have been resettled. And I know what he can do. His track record at Greater Accra region, is unprecedented. And I'm so much also in love. He's one of the ministers that I think when I heard of his transition from, his Rambo-style administration at Greater Accra, and I heard that he's going to Interior Minister, I was like, hey, whatever Rambo thinks he was doing in Greater Accra, now he's taking it national. And I know for sure that this will be a front burner issue for Henry Quartey, Honorable. And let me, use this opportunity to also say that, this is the beauty of government doing reappointments, and he'll take some different energy into Interior and take up from where former minister, managed to take us with regards to Interior Ministry. So I will personally remind him.
So finally, the president kept making the point about what has happened over the last 7 years.
Yes.
Now, I made the point in my intro before you spoke that the campaign of the MPP in 2016 in coming to office was jobs, jobs, jobs. Unemployment was the main thing. Jobs, jobs, jobs. How come the issue of unemployment was not highlighted?
And that's why I'm saying that I'm even disappointed in the fact that just the security services, government employed a lot. And then when you go to the health, government has also employed a lot. So really, if further attention was really paid, then youth that have been employed in all these security machinery, and then the health, because with COVID, there was a lot of attention to health. That alone would have showed some numbers of how much government has done. And I think that, it wouldn't be an oversight thing or forgetful thing, but they should have included the numbers. And people would have seen so far nurses that have been employed, doctors that have been employed. And I must say that even when you look at the judiciary and what he spoke to.
The latest data from the Statistical Service shows that we're going from bad to worse when it comes to unemployment.
Which is fair because our populations have definitely
This is even in
increased.
percentage terms. So it's not in the
actual
numbers.
And we cannot say no to this because we're now recovering from an economic meltdown, largely due to which you maybe choose not to agree or I was explaining the fact that hotel industry, airline industry heavily impacted worldwide, and even that reduced the remittance to Ghana because our uncles and aunties and relatives in the UK, in the Americas, were out of job, and Ghana thrives on cement buying to build a house, iron rods to build a house for expatriates. And that economy was taken out of us for the last 3 years. Many relatives, and this one, many homes would attest that some have not even gained back employment and are struggling in their various apartments, which are cubicles, in the New Yorks, in the Washingtons and things like that. So I think that we need to be a bit realistic about our expectation of moving from a post-COVID economy into what we were experiencing before COVID.
Help me understand something. Help me understand something. Which kind of economy, in a crisis like COVID, gets close to 30 billion, according to its finance minister, spends 12 billion on actual COVID expenditure, and gets about 17 billion for budgetary support? So funding that hitherto it would have gone
would not have come
for loans. For loans in order to bridge that gap. COVID provided an extra 17 billion to be able to meet that, apart from COVID expenditure. This same economy got the central bank to print monies for it. This same economy put out new tax measures.
Revenue measures.
Yes, under the guise of COVID.
Yeah.
To bring in resources. Yet, it couldn't pay its bills. And as Mr. Kwame Pianim is reported to have said, for the first time in its history,
pensions
was unable to pay its bills, went bankrupt, and went into the situation that we find ourselves in. I'm struggling to appreciate how.
I think it is just one word.
Yes.
One word. I think the exuberance of the time was too high. And what I mean by that is that in hindsight, for instance, the property in Adaklu that we went for and paid heavily for in anticipation that patients will be kept there.
All that were in the 12 billion.
No, I'm just saying.
Yes.
I'm just using that. The symptoms
we
are
got
plenty.
Extra 17 billion to do budgetary support.
So I'm trying to explain to you that the issues are plenty, but that is just one of the things that I can share with you. That in hindsight, we took on more than we could, really chew, and that we now have the luxury of doing, post-managerial, post-expenditure assessment. And I can tell you in confidence that I know for a fact that if the president and the finance minister should look at how we took certain decisions, maybe now they might wish they would have adjusted some of the expenditures, some of the wild things we did. And economics 101, there's no free lunch. Whatever you're giving to people for free, somebody
Nothing
has
was
to
given
pay.
to us for free.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, so reality should dawn on Ghanaians that when government delayed in letting us pay for water, we were going to pay eventually.
But we put a COVID levy.
Well, you see, and let me.
So I'm saying that
you are really pushing me to add one thing.
That's why I was saying that this COVID, you see, we had the international.
But before
the
you
international
learn,
financial crisis. Sometimes people forget about that.
It triggered us to do 111 hospitals.
Which was that?
COVID. And I think that, let me be very honest with you, if not for COVID, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo had no intention of doing Agenda 111. So that's why I'm saying that the exuberance.
He said he was going to do 111 in 18 months.
The exuberance, and that is what I want to say, that the exuberance is a huge factor. And I think that, for me, I was excited about COVID in the sense that it triggered the president to pay attention to health. I'm just saying. And unfortunately, you know, he made very bold and audacious plans for health. And that wipes away a lot of all those monies. I mean, every one of the Agenda 101s is billed not less than $10 million, which you know. So that's literally $1 trillion for these projects, which we haven't finished. And that's why I'm saying that there were so many things that were so exciting to do. I mean, let me state categorically that some of the hotel stays were not necessary, looking back. But we have the luxury to look back now because, you know, COVID is over. But in the thick of it, when you're at war, you take certain decisions that 10 years, 20 years, I mean, people at West Point are still assessing World War II and the decisions that were made by America. People are assessing World War I and the decisions that were made by army generals. And I must say that even today, people are questioning some of those decisions. The timing, the number of artillery that was used and all of that. And as we speak, Ukraine is struggling. You know, they are claiming that, you know, they have issues with armory. And this will later, maybe a century later, people will come back to some of the decisions that are being made now. But in the thick of COVID, when people were afraid of dying, including the president himself, I mean, I think, and that is one thing. You see, when a rich man is afraid of dying, he will spend anything on health, everything he has. He'll sell his houses. You know, you tell him that this herbal concoction will work.
We're busy creating gigs for foreigners to make money at the airports and all that. That's what we're doing.
I mean, those are different troubles. But even that health minister doesn't have the entire, former health minister doesn't have the entire story on that. So there are vacuums in there. But I'll plead with you that I think that it was just exuberance. Not youthful in this one, because this one, these are not youthful people.
Octogenarian.
These are, you know...
Or septuagenarian.
These are elderly people doing exuberant things. But forgive us. Okay. I mean, you know, it's now that we have the benefit of hindsight.
It's not for me to forgive you. Me, I don't have any.
You are a citizen. So we are pleading, just like the president says, the buck stops at his door.
All right. Okay. Let's take a break. When we return, we'll bring Felix in on this one. Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. So with me on the show, I have Dr. Admaku Kisi and Felix Kwakye Ofosu. But what does wealth mean to you? Do you want to live like a tycoon? Remember, as God and Mola, God the power. Ghana's newest lottery game draws live on Adom TV at 9 a.m., 12 noon, and 6 p.m. daily. Now pick up your phones, tablets, and computers and download the Game Park Games app on Play Store. You can also play on their website at www.gameparkgames.com or by dialing *946# on all networks. Just choose 4 numbers from 0 to 9. It's easy to play and easy to win. Charlie, make we play this game and make some moolah. Nobody beats out in Ghana. Game Park Games, more moolah, more power. This game is regulated by a National Lottery Authority and it's not for persons under 18. Play responsibly. Ayesoko, that Kosombo Dan be big, but Betway's cash out be bigger. Betway is giving you more control over every thrilling bet you place. Enjoy the biggest and most reliable cash out in Ghana on Betway without any hassle. Sign up today at betway.com.gh. Terms and conditions apply. Not for persons under 18. This is regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Betway, get way more. Now, charcoal has essential medicinal properties that help remove toxins from our bodies. The natural absorptive property of charcoal helps to remove the bacteria that produces bad breath in the mouth, hence giving you a fresh breath. Kel Charcoal Toothpaste has been formulated and produced under strict hygienic conditions with all the necessary production protocols and has been approved by the Food and Drugs Authority. Constant use of Kel Charcoal Toothpaste gives you a good fresh breath Whiter teeth reduces dental plaque, makes the gum healthy and strong, prevents cavity, upset stomach, hangover, and so on. Kel Charcoal toothpaste is recommended for adults and children from the age of 6. Kel Charcoal toothpaste for white teeth and fresh breath all day long. This is another quality product from Samara Company Limited. Kel Charcoal toothpaste, happy smile. And Blue Jeans energy drink has been on the Ghanaian market for over 20 years. We already know what it does for the body. It contains vitamins and nutrients like vitamin B2, B3, B6, B12, as well as taurine and guarana, which are known to boost your strength and energy as well as promote high performance and endurance. Blue Jeans energy drink has been tested and tried. It is indeed the best. Blue Jeans energy drink is for bold and active men and women. So go on, grab a cold can and power your day. It's in shops nationwide. For bulk purchase, contact Budget Cash and Carry Limited on 0208 128 190 055 001 0000. Felix, let's hear you on the sonar.
What a difference 7 years can make. Because I recall President Akufo-Addo's first State of the Nation address, delivered, I think, sometime in February or March 2017, and the oomph and gusto with which he went about reciting what he claimed to be problems that he had inherited. Now, that State of the Nation, when compared to what we have now, is completely unrecognizable. It is like one of those boxers who gets into the ring and gets pummeled so badly that when you see his face, you cannot make him out. You would have to be prompted to know that it is this particular boxer because he's been so badly beaten and his face completely disfigured. That is what President Akufo-Addo and Alhaji Bawumia have done to the Ghanaian state. So when the minority leader asserted yesterday that the state of the country now is hopeless, he was spot on. Andy, I will urge you to grab President Akufo-Addo's maiden State of the Nation address and read the parts where he was lamenting what he had inherited and compare to the state of Ghana today as you know it. You would see that we were in a much better situation than we are currently. Today, the most dominant theme for many Ghanaian households is the state of the economy. And in fact, the economy featured very prominently in President Akufo-Addo's first address to Parliament. For instance, Randy, he lamented our public debt. He said that it was 122 billion Ghana cedis at the time. It was actually 120 billion at the time we were living. Just that in the early part of the year before he read it, there was some depreciation in the currency. So if you did the conversion at the time he was reading, an additional 2 billion had been added. But when we were living in January 7th, it was 120. But let us even, for argument purposes, accept it's 122 billion. The president lamented a 122 billion Ghana cedi debt, which stood in the name of Ghana from the time of independence till the time President Obama was living. Randy, as of the time the president was reading the State of the Nation address yesterday, even if we were to chalk off anything they've done the whole of this year in terms of borrowing, we were 600 billion Ghana cedis in debt. And at the time President Akufo-Addo was lamenting the State of the Nation address in 2017, our debt to GDP ratio, Randy, that is, if you picked our debt today and you compared it to our GDP, you see if nominally you could use the GDP to do a bullet payment. It is only a theoretical calculation. And when he was complaining in 2017, that thing was 56%. That's what President Mahama had bequeathed him. At the end of last year, it was 104%. It meant that our entire GDP would be swallowed up by our debt with an extra 4% to contend with. This is a catastrophic situation. And it is no wonder, therefore, that President Akufo-Addo and Alhaji Bawumia had to unilaterally declare that we're no longer going to honor our debt obligations. So for the first time in several decades, I think it was in Achampon's time in the 70s, that we defaulted. Even then was a strategic default. It's not that we couldn't pay. He just said we won't pay because he believed that the international financial order was unfair to us. But in President Akufo-Addo's case, even if he wanted to pay, he won't get FOCO to pay. So he said he cannot pay. So we had a debt default. At the time that he was lamenting the state of the nation in 2017, and we had not defaulted on our debt. Not even the city was in default. Today, 1.3 million bondholders, Randy, who depend on bond proceeds for a living, including pensioners, have received what is euphemistically referred to as a financial haircut. In other words, government says they won't pay at least the amounts that they were due. And when you calculate it, it is in excess of 100 billion Ghana cedis. And that is just for domestic bondholders. When President Akufo-Addo was lamenting the State of the Nation address, the State of the Nation in 2017, not a single bondholder had suffered even a shaving of his mustache, let alone a haircut. And when President Akufo-Addo was lamenting the State of the Nation in 2017, inflation was at 15.4%. Yes, it was not single digit, but 15.4% inflation is quite manageable and will not throw your finances out of gear and erode your disposable income. At a certain point in 2022, that still rose to 54.1% hyperinflation. So that if you went to the market in the morning to purchase this item, you are most likely to find when you go back that the price has increased in the same day, sometimes in the space of hours. It came down, Randy. Only last month, the Ghana Statistical Service informed us that it had inched up again. So it's now 23.5%. Way higher than what President Akufo-Addo was lamenting. Yesterday, I heard him say that some stability was returning to the economy. And it's a new narrative that quite a number of them in the MPP and government have been reciting. Randy, you are in a rage. I'm sure there are forest bureaus around here.
Yes.
You can send your producers to make some inquiries. You will be lucky to get the dollar at 13 cedis. So, and there has been significant movement in the exchange rate since the beginning of this year. At the beginning of the year, it was just around 12 cedis. Now it is 13 cedis and rising. And this is after the unilateral debt default, which meant that a significant source of pressure on our currency, which is the spiriting out of hundreds of millions of dollars to service our debt, has been curtailed. When President Akufo-Addo was lamenting the State of the Nation in 2017, his predecessor was servicing debt, and yet the exchange rate hovered around 4 cedis to $1. Now it is 13 cedis to $1, and indeed I hear as for the British pound, it is doing more damage to the cedi.
Let me read a paragraph of the 2017 SONA to you.
All right, very well.
Mr. Speaker, the increasing fiscal deficits were financed by increased borrowing. As at the beginning of 2009, Ghana's total debt stock was 9.5 billion cedis. By the end of 2016, the debt stock had ballooned to 122 billion cedis. Ghana's debt stock now stands at 74% of GDP. After all the previous denials to the contrary, more debt was accumulated by the previous government in the last 8 years than all other governments put together since independence. In fact, 92% of Ghana's total debt stock was incurred in the last 8 years under the previous government. The interest costs on these debts have also increased and will amount to an estimated 14.1 billion cedis in 2017. Interest costs, 14.1 billion cedis. Mr. Speaker, the reality of the state of Ghana's public finances today are quite stark. Today, as a result of policy choices, we find ourselves in a situation where Ghana's total revenue is consumed by 3 main budgetary lines: wages and salaries, that's number 1. Interest payments, that's number 2. And amortization and statutory payments, number 3. Since these 3 items alone account for 99.6% of government revenue, this means that anything else that government has to do outside of these lines will have to be financed by borrowing or aid. After 8 years of the previous government, there is practically no fiscal space left. The persistent resort to borrowing for any additional expenditures to meet the aspirations of our people is also not sustainable. We cannot continue this way with our public finances. I will not allow this economy to collapse under my watch. will reduce significantly the fiscal deficit this year.
Well, from the horse's own mouth. Andy, let me clarify that the debt to GDP ratio was not 74%. Of course, after rebasing.
Yes.
And we are using rebasing figures now, so it's only fair to compare like to like. If we were not using rebased figures, our debt to GDP ratio would be in excess of 200%. So it was 56% at the time. Andy, the president says that the fiscal deficit at the time was too large. It was 6.4% at the time. The difference between our expenditure and our revenue was negative 13.92 billion Ghana cedis. If you put that over the GDP of the time, 215 billion, and multiply by 100, you get 6.4%. The president was lamenting this. He found it unacceptable. He said the economy was collapsing and that he was going to do better. Randy, since 2018, this president and his head of the economic management team, Alhaji Bawumia, who is the poster boy for economic management in Ghana, have consistently posted deficits higher than what he met since 2018. In 2018, it was 7.5%. 2019, it was 7%. 2020, it was 15%. And since 2021, so last year, we have posted double-digit deficits, 12%, 12%, 12%. So if you compare the states of the nation that President Akufo-Addo was lamenting in respect of budget deficits, which actually is an indication of how prudently you are managing your economy, you see that we are in a far worse situation than this. And in fact, the source of the economic meltdown we've had in the last few years is the huge budget deficits coupled with the astronomical debt. Randy, much has been said about the president's failure, or was it refusal, to comment on the unemployment situation. I'm surprised that he did not repeat the voodoo figures on job creation that his head of the economic management team has been bandying about. Perhaps he has seen the light and sees that it is not sustainable. It is not something that he can defend. Randy, but if your unemployment rate is at 14.7%, and you do not talk about it, that is a grievous omission. In fact, when he was lamenting the state of the nation in 2017, unemployment stood at 8.4%. 8.4%. The thing has almost doubled to 14.7%. Randy, 30% of employable Ghanaian youth are out of employment. As for 4.5 million people, they've given up because they say they can't find it, so they won't even look for it. The Ghana Statistical Service has informed us that between 2022 and 2023 alone, 550,000 people fell into the unemployment bracket. And interest rates, when President Akufo-Addo was lamenting the state of the nation in 2017, interest rates were in the mid-20s. Right now, it hovers between 35% and 40%. So you understand what it is doing to Ghanaian businesses. If you add the exchange rate and then inflation. At some point, the exchange rate hit 17 Ghana cedis to $1 sometime in October, November 2022. And the taxation. When President Akufo-Addo was in opposition, he and his vice president and head of the economic management team used to make a song and dance about taxation. They said they will move from taxation to production. And I'm sure Dr. Adumaku Kisi would agree that if you say that, it simply means that there will be less taxation and we will have a ramping up of production in order that you make more revenue from there than relying on taxation. Andy, since President Akufo-Addo and his head of the economic management team, Alhaji Bawumia, came to power, they have imposed 40 new taxes, 40 on us. So,
you're sure about that?
Oh, absolutely. I have the list. If you like, I can go through 40. It for you. If you have time, I will go through the 40.
New taxes.
New taxes.
40.
Removed how many?
Oh, Randy, they removed VAT from 15 items. There are tens of thousands of items affected by VAT. Except that sometimes when you want to impose VAT on it, you go to Parliament and Dr. Adama Kikisi and go will say yeah to the bill and then it is affected. So what they did was remove VAT, one tax item, from a number of items that is affected, about 15 or so, real estate and pharmaceuticals and what have you. But they've introduced 40 different ones, including an increase in VAT of about 5%. And the luxury car tax that you used to lament, you've forgotten about it. Mm-hmm. The special import levy. Right? They came to me some taxes that had sunset clauses. In other words, they will expire after some time. When they expired, they reintroduce it. And when you do that, it's a new classified as a new tax. 40 of them, Randy. The latest ones we've been grappling with are the emissions tax, which after some pressure, they say they will not do. Now it is not even claimed. Have they brought a bill to scrap those taxes?
Not yet.
Good. So they remain in force. And they say you will pay about 300 cedis or so, depending on the size of your engine. At the beginning of the year, when you go and do your road ready renewal. 40 different taxes. When President Akufo-Addo was lamenting, these different taxes did not exist at the time. So by every account, Randy, we are in a much worse situation than President Akufo-Addo inherited it. This is a terrible scorecard. Terrible scorecard. The revenue that his predecessor had, which he was lamenting, Andy, was less than 250 billion Ghana cedis. In the last 7 years, he has had 800 billion Ghana cedis and counting. And yet this is the scorecard.
Just checking through the 2017 SONA.
Yeah.
The president referred to the projected revenue of 37
billion.
0.9 billion. And then what was realized, which was 33.
Yeah, so it was about
33.2 billion. So there was about some 4 billion.
Right, this year,
4 billion that couldn't be achieved.
They project what, 170 billion Ghana cedis. I think last year they did 156 billion Ghana cedis. So you can see the quantum jumps in the resources that we've given. Right, if you introduce 40 new taxes, wouldn't you get more money? Yesterday I watched you as you lamented the decline in the cocoa sector. This year they set a target of 820,000 metric tons. They said they are going to do 470,000. I heard my brother Collins, and congratulations to him for securing a last-minute substitute role. He's basically doing a cameo in government. Cameo. Andy, they say Akate, swollen shoot. I say swollen shoot is, it takes rocket science to deal with swollen shoot. It's a decades-old disease. If at this stage, in our national life, an organization like Cocoa Board cannot fight swollen shoot, then it should be closed down. So they will do 470,000 metric tons. What President Akufo-Addo inherited in the 2016-2017 crop season was 980,000 metric tons. That's about 20,000 metric tons shy of 1 million. So he has halved that in the twilight of his government. This is an abysmal performance by every sense of the word. An abysmal performance. And you see, around the man in charge of it. Yesterday, I noticed that President Akufo-Addo had joined the fray in attempting to extricate Alhaji Bawumia from blame. That will never happen. It won't happen. It won't happen. Everybody knows that he was a person. In fact, in his 2018 SONA, President Akufo-Addo gave full credit for what he perceived to be economic gains at the time to Alhaji Bawumia. And you see, today you can say that if he had done that today, you would say that because Alhaji Bawumia is going for elections, he wants to put a feather in his cap and project him in positive light in the eyes of voters. But in 2018, it was President Akufo-Addo who was going to contest in 2 years' time. So he didn't have any obligation, as it were, even politically or strategically, to laud Bawumia for anything. So it was a genuine expression of what was the case. That Bawumia was the man in charge of managing the economy. So whatever little progress they had made then, he attributed to him. So how can he now come and tell us that he should take responsibility for everything? Why didn't he take responsibility in 2018? So it is Alhaji Bawumia who has mismanaged the economy. And they go about saying that, oh, in fact, one of Alhaji Bawumia's surrogates, Kofi Bentil, has said that in the first term of the Akufo-Addo Bawumia administration, he was listened to. I mean, Alhaji Bawumia was listened to. And in the second term, he was not listened to. Well, how convenient, Randy? Very, very convenient. So President Akufo-Addo, as for him, he wants to go down as the worst president Ghana had. So he has somebody he himself has called a brilliant economist in his midst. He won't listen to him so that he fails. What kind of cock and bull story is this? Cock and bull story. Something that you expect to hear in a by the far side episode. A Kwekwanansi story. You gather little children and you tell them that and they will believe you. You see, Randy, what people fail to realize is that between 2021 and now, the things they have done have been in a desperate effort to plug the hole that they created with mismanagement between 2017 and 2020.
Explain that.
What I'm going to explain is that there's hardly anything they've done between 2021 to now that has caused the economic meltdown. The economic meltdown was caused by decisions taken between 2017 and 2020, especially in 2020, like overspending, especially in the election year. And I've told you that from 2018 onwards, they have started posting high deficits. The moment you see that, you see imprudence, you see mismanagement, spending far beyond. Randy, if you spend beyond your means as a normal person, you will always be in debt. It is basic. And economists are sticklers for financial discipline. If you cannot ensure financial discipline, you are down and out.
Fiscal discipline.
Sorry, it's the same thing. Fiscal discipline. From 2018 onwards, Randy, they had been doing that. In 2020, things got to a head because they wanted to win elections. So COVID only became a pretext to overspend far beyond our means. After the election, we were in a hole. We had a 15% deficit. Our debt to GDP ratio was around 70% already after COVID. Then the spiral began. Investors then lost confidence. So the governor of the Bank of Ghana has told us that between 2022 and 2023, between 2021 and 2023, $6.3 billion was spirited out of this country by investors. Normally, what they will do is that when their investments are due for payment, they may take the interest and ask you to roll it over. But when it was due, they took it out and went to invest in places where they thought that they would get higher yields. And that was because they had seen that by 2020, we were using 92% of domestic revenue to service our public debt. Once they saw that, they knew that our debt had become unsustainable and that it was only a matter of months before we began defaulting. And that is how come the credit rating agencies started downgrading us. Once they were caught in this situation, they then had to take decisions. Because, mind you, Randy, from October 2021, we were locked out of the international bond market. We won't get a dime when we go to float bonds. The last one we attempted was the Dachi bonds. After that, we got nothing. So they had to resort to increasing domestic revenue. By doing that, they were going to have to impose pain on the people of Ghana. Alhaji Bawumia could not have opposed this because the alternative was total collapse of the economy. You understand the point I'm making? So when they brought e-levy, he was not opposed to e-levy. It was supposed to send a signal to investors that we were doing something about the mess. If he was opposed to e-levy, what was his alternative? There was none. None. The only resort you had was going to borrow. That one too you were not getting. So what were you going to do? Number two, Randy, the only person we know who voiced opposition to a major decision like the IMF program was the finance minister. Even his consideration was purely partisan and political, so that it could not be said that at the time that he was finance minister, he went to the IMF, based on all the things that they had said about the NDC in 2015. Alhaji Bawumia, we know, at least from, you've read that document here, the first review is the one who led those reviews. He is known to have participated in the negotiations. Randy, he could also not have been opposed to the IMF program because without that, we were going for total collapse. What was his alternative? None. Zero. Zilch. It was the only way that investors were going to have any confidence in us to agree to even sit with us to discuss debt exchange, or if you like, debt restructuring. It was a precondition for debt restructuring. And that is why the IMF immediately insisted that we should start the domestic one. And then, based upon the outcome, we go international and engage our, external creditors. So Alhaji, if they tell you that he was opposed to anything they've done between 2021 to now, Randy, it is not true. It is a lie because there was no alternative. And he, as an economist, knows that if they didn't do those things, it was toast. This country was gone. That even the 1 billion left in your reserve, they will come for it too. So everything they've done between 2021 and now has been a desperate race to plug the hole that they created. It's just like, and I'm glad that Dr. Aduma Kusi is here. You know, there are some medicines that are extremely difficult to take. The smell alone will put you off. One of them is Miss Senako. I'm sure you. Yes, terrible medicine to take, but it's also a very effective laxative. So when you're having difficulties with passing through, you go for.
You're a pharmacist.
I'm not. I did chemistry, so I'm aware of it.
No,
when I was
saying,
a child,
now you.
When I was a child, my mom every month would insist that you take some. And when it is so difficult to take that, the smell alone will put you off. But you don't have an alternative if you want to address the problem you have. That is what they have done. The alternative to not taking that medicine is dying. If you have cancer, unfortunately, chemotherapy and all those things are extremely difficult to go through. It takes a toll on your body. But you have to. You don't have an option.
Well, the president stated it in
Randy, so, and of course, I mean, I'm not President Akufo-Addo's greatest admirer, as you know.
Why so?
Oh, of course, for reasons that have been vindicated upon in the last 7 years, but I won't go into those. Randy, why? President Akufo-Addo, why do you think that he is happy imposing tax on you so that you can criticize him? He didn't have an option because of the bad things they did between 2017 to 2020. It's like, I mean, if your lifestyle, is not healthy, you are going to pay for the consequences further down the line. That is what befell them. So after you do this to a country, let nobody attempt to extricate Bawumia. He is front and center. He was the lead parroter, right? Even when the problem started emerging in 2021, you recall that he went to a function in Cape Coast, organized by the TESCON branch there. He said that apart from the public debt, which had risen marginally, everything else was okay. You have a video of it. I think you've played it a number of times. He was defending this government to the hilt. It was when he realized that there was going to be a political price for the meltdown that he started to move away. So his first strategy was silence. If he doesn't say anything, then you don't hear him. You can't. Then he thought that Ghanaians will forget about him through silence. When that was not working, then he started this thing about digitalization, basically inevitable ICT uptake by public organizations and some private organizations. So he has been front and center of this mess. And roping in President Akufo-Addo to take responsibility because he is going and will not be affected politically. It's not going to work. Ghanaians know it. Daddy, having said that about the economy, yesterday the president said what? That they will be launching tracker to track their performance. Again, I can assure you, Randy, that if the economy was in good shape, it would have been their lead campaign item. Kofi Bentil and Co would have told us that it is through Bawumia's ingenuity and brilliance that the economy is doing well. So now they want to bring infrastructure. So the president says Alhaji Bawumia will lead the showcasing of government activities by collating information on achievement. Randy, you see, when you fail so badly, you begin to clutch at straws. A whole vice president is the one going to go around to ask for information about government's performance. And you see, when we were in government, I was a deputy communications minister. I used to sit in the old Ministry of Information building, the one that government took from the CPP. In fact, incidentally, the office I was occupying is where Nkrumah used to operate from as General Secretary of the CPP. That responsibility was mine, deputy minister. The letters that we wrote to agencies to request for information were authored by me. If push came to shove, I'll pick a phone and call a colleague minister or some agency head to request that information. It was not the work of the vice president. But because of failure, the vice president is now compelled to go clutching at straws. And when I heard that, I could not believe the level of mediocrity that we had sunk into. Sometimes that function is performed by information officers in districts. You call them that they should collate data for you. They will go and bring it to you. They will send you nice presentations. Why should the vice president, the president finds it necessary to announce in the most important speech of the year that the vice president will be going around collecting information on what they have done as a government.
Maybe that's not what he meant.
But what did he mean?
Remember, he will coordinate.
No, but why should the vice president be
office
coordinating? Randy, why should the vice president be coordinating that? I'm telling you that when we were in government,
it's in his interest. He's running for office.
Randy,
he needs those achievements.
Randy, President Mama was running for office in 2016. When we needed information for our Green Book and other publications, Randy, Deputy Minister for Communications, I was the one coordinating. They have a host of people in their communication setup who can do that. There's a Minister for Information, there's a Deputy Minister for Information. They have a government spokesperson on infrastructure. What is his job? Does the vice president have to go around collecting information? And when you see, again, you can expect that they will come and waste our years again with this tracker business. What they are simply going to do is that they are going to go for all manner of mundane things, and then they will inflate the figure and say they've done 20,000 infrastructure projects. Let me explain to you. For instance, let's say the water sector. We can show you the Kpong water project, right? Which costs around $240 million. It produces 40 million gallons of water a day to serve about 700,000 people living in the eastern part of Accra, parts of the water region, parts of the eastern region. But it is one project, right? Alhaji Bawumia will go and take one borehole.
No, we have Adaklu.
I beg.
We have Adaklu water project.
Doc, don't worry. In a few minutes, I will delve into some specific to show you that there's no way on this earth that you can lay claim to having done more infrastructure than us, despite the huge amounts of money you've had. But I'm illustrating what you will be doing. Randy, you watch out for it. So when we present the Kpong water project as one project, 700 of thousands of people on a daily basis.
We'll bring Adaklu.
Randy, they will go and bring a well.
We'll bring Adaklu.
Say in some village around the east, and tell you that it is also one project, so they count it as one. When we are counting a major water project as one, you get it. For instance, we go to Terminal 1, Terminal 3 at Kotoka. We show it as one project, and they will bring you a one-seater toilet as a project. Then they will count it and tell you you've done 20,000. So very misleading, cheap propaganda. That's what Bawumia is going to spear. You mark it anywhere, you will see it. Because that's what they did the last time.
I'm just
Randy,
diffusing one here.
Don't worry. When you read page 10, Randy, of President Akufo-Addo's State of the Nation address presented yesterday, he makes the audacious claim that the reason why they are doing the tracker is that they have invested more in infrastructure than any other government. And Randy, on your show, I have on many occasions challenged them to show up for a debate on the matter. And because you don't have the whole day, I will just use 2 sectors to illustrate my point. Randy, it is not true. There's not a snowball's chance in hell that the people will be able to show more infrastructure than us. You know what? Let's take the education sector, Randy. And President Akufo-Addo himself has put out information on specific achievements in education by this government. Because on the 11th of October 2023, he attended a CHAS conference, and it was a widely publicized speech. In fact, a day after that speech, they actually bought airtime. I'm sure your station got some to rebroadcast that speech because they thought that they had something to show, and the president himself was doing the canvassing. According to President Akufo-Addo, in education, they had spent 104.5 billion Ghana cedis in education. And these are the outcomes, Randy. These are the outcomes. At the basic level, comprising KG, primary, and JHS, according to President Akufo-Addo, they had initiated 1,270 infrastructure interventions. He didn't break it down, but let's say everything they've done there. Schools, libraries, kitchens, everything. 1,270. And this speech is available online. Anybody who Googles it will find it. So I'm not putting any words in President Akufo-Addo's mouth. Right? He says that at the SHS level, I'm talking infrastructure, that they had initiated 1,105 projects at SHS level. He gave a breakdown then. He says they've done 406 classroom blocks, science labs, and home economics blocks. They had done 386 dormitories. They had done 233 toilets. And that they had done, and I heard Dr. Adomako speak about the STEM schools in glowing terms. Said at the time, President Akufo-Addo said they had done 9 STEM senior high schools.
7 operational.
No problem. You let's say even all 9 are operational. It's not a difficulty. Randy, each of these STEM schools is supposed to have a capacity for 3,000 students. So even if you multiply this by 9, let's say all 9 are operational now. you get 27,000 students. That's the access, the space we've created for 27,000 students. So that is about it in terms of new secondary schools. These are secondary schools, right? Mm-hmm. As for tertiary, President Akufo-Addo did not say anything about it for very good reasons, because there's none to show in terms of establishing a tertiary institution, either a polytechnic, university, or any other kind of tertiary education institution. Right? He says he spent 114.5 billion. I'm going to come to what we did in the same sector.
Could it also be that a chunk of that money went into recurrent expenditure?
Yeah, but we are talking infrastructure. We are talking infrastructure. Okay. The president himself says the tracker won't show recurrent expenditure. Of course. Show infrastructure. So I'm comparing infrastructure. Of course. If there's ever a debate on recurrent infrastructure, we will come to that table, of course. Bearing in mind, of course, that they've had far more money than we have. Now, Randy.
Can I say one thing?
Go ahead, please.
Just before he lands.
I'm only taking off. So the landing will take off time.
You know, in your commentary, I think you may err because the likes of Adisadel have had additional infrastructure.
I'll come to that. I'll come
to that. And then, like the STEM school, the dining hall for a STEM school.
It's a school.
It's not the same as
I will explain that.
So maybe I'll listen to you.
President Akufo-Addo himself says,
you know,
President Akufo-Addo himself says, when he speaks about initiated infrastructure projects, he includes, that's why I broke it down to classrooms, home economics departments, science labs, dormitories and whatever. So all those projects.
And quite frankly, an Akufo-Addo laboratory is not a Mahama laboratory.
Well, that is.
And that is a fact.
No, we will come to that. That
is a fact.
If you listen to me, we will come to that.
Okay.
Randy.
I'll listen.
He says he has spent 114.5 billion. But I'm going to highlight to you some of the problems we have in that sector, so that you see whether this 114 billion has actually even reflected on the
I thought you were going to compare.
I will do the comparison. No problem.
Okay.
No, that's why I say I'm taking the
apples to apples.
No problem. Randy, you see, I think a year ago or so, 10 high-profile civil society organizations, including Star Ghana Foundation, Action Aid, International Child Development Program, Africa Education Watch, the Civil Society Platform Ghana on the SDGs, Comfort, Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition, World Vision, and these are very credible, well-recognized civil society organizations. Randy, they conducted research into our education sector, and these are their findings. Do you know, Randy, that since the coming into government of the Akufo-Addo Bawumia administration, we've had as many as 1 million children dropping out of school?
Yes.
Randy, there are now 5,400 schools under trees. 5,400.
Yes.
Andy, there are 2.3 million pupils who do not have desks, so they sit on the floor or they lie on their bellies in classrooms. Randy, for 4 years, they have not printed textbooks for basic school pupils. Randy, they have put an end to the free exercise books project that we in the NDC launched. Capitation grants have been in arrears for 6 terms. And we all know the harassment that the women who do the school feeding have been putting the Education Ministry and Finance Ministry through intermittently. We also saw the picketing that suppliers did at the buffer stock. And utility bills are in constant arrears. Yet President Akufo-Addo says he spent 114 billion, which is roughly half of the entire amount of money that the Mills Mahama administration had in their 8 years. But now let me come to the comparison on records and why I say that the MPP will be, to use Dr. Adumaku's balance, biting more than they can chew. Randy, whereas President Akufo-Addo says that at basic level, KG primary GHS, a total of 1,270 infrastructure interventions. We in the NDC can lay claim to 1,347 blocks for kindergarten alone. And that's new ones. I'm coming. And rehabilitation of 345 kg blocks. Randy, when we were in power, there were schools under trees. There were 2,936. And schools under trees became topical because President Mills made it a very important component of his strategy in education. And in multiple state of the nation addresses, he highlighted those. There were 2,936. Out of this, 2,031 were awarded on contracts under the Mills Mahama administration. Out of this, 1,129 classroom blocks were completed for basic school, primary. Since they like to talk about toilets, Akufo-Addo says they've done, President Akufo-Addo, I beg your pardon, says they've done 233. And we did 739. 739. Well, we have urinals. I won't speak about boreholes. I think that in terms of, they are important projects, but in terms of national.
So what's the point? What's
the point
I'm
you're
trying to make? Yes.
Right, let me come to tertiary education. President Akufo-Addo could not broach the subject of tertiary education because there's none. They don't have a university to show. We have UHAS, University of Health and Allied Sciences. We have University of Energy and Natural Resources. We have University of Environment and Sustainable Development. 3. I won't talk about the improvements we made in existing ones in terms of investing in infrastructure there.
Why have you skipped secondary?
I'm coming to secondary. We have 1,079 classroom blocks. And 1,000 secondary. And 189 two-story dormitories. So they are either about 24 blocks or 18. That is if they are two-story. Randy, let me come to TVET. We had a program called the Development of Skills for Industry Program. Under this, we committed $125 million to upgrading 13 technical institutions. One of them was the Accra Polytechnic. Because of that, they have a brand new campus. I don't know whether you know that place. It's at a place called Mempasam around the Amasaman area.
You mean the Accra Technical University?
Accra Technical University. They have a new campus with massive buildings, massive workshops, state-of-the-art equipment under this program. Now you know. In fact, I have a picture of it. I can give it to your producer to spread it.
I think...
No, let me... I didn't say anything. So, at the Technical Institute, Akwetia Technical Institute, Amankwa Akwem Technical Institute, Aswansi Technical Institute...
Maybe let's wait for the...
Which is actually... So yes, I'm just giving them an idea of the uphill task they will have if they have to engage in showcasing what President Akufo-Addo says is that. But let me give you something small on transport. Because President Akufo-Addo mentioned... yesterday he said that they had renamed the Kumasi Airport after Nana Ajiman Prempeh the first.
Tamale Airport that I think I'm
coming. The Nana Ajiman Prempeh the first. If you ask me, Randy, I think that Yas Antoa deserve that honor because of, first of all, gender issues and they're significant too. Because we tend to discriminate against women a lot.
So you always have this.
Oh, it's not an issue. It's just a small.
Jubilee House, Flagstaff House.
Oh, but I'm saying that it's just a matter of preference. I would have thought that Yas Antoa deserve that credit because of a.
Well, unfortunately, you are not at the table.
Of course, I'm not at the table. But if I was, that's what I would have done.
Our deputy majority leader is a female.
Because we have Konfuanochi, we have Prempeh College, we have. So now, Randy, now Kumasi Airport. Kumasi Airport, Randy. Kumasi, the President mentioned it. This is the transport sector. Let me indicate that the bulk of the work there is attributable to John Mahama and the NDC, not President Akufo-Addo. Let me explain to you. In 2014, we carried out the first phase of converting that airport into an international airport. 2014. So we finished phase 1 in 2014 by extending the runway, providing instrument landing systems which guide planes to land, aeronautical ground lighting, those lights that you see on the runway when you are flying, those were done. Randy, phase 2. In November of 2016, President, 3rd November 2016, I beg your pardon, and you are in Parliament, so you appreciate these matters. Parliament approved $77.97 million for phase 2, which included a terminal building, which was going to have air bridges and what have you. Randy, after that amount was approved, a commercial contract was also approved by Parliament for the Ministry of Transport to engage Contractor Consortium UK, which is a Brazilian company with a subsidiary in the United Kingdom, for phase 2. President Mahama cut the sword for it on 5th December 2016. In fact, the contractor had actually gone to site. And the videos and pictures are there to illustrate this. So the assumption was that once money was available, Parliament had approved the commercial contract in accordance with Ghanaian law, and the contractor was ready. Right after the elections, the construction was going to start. So President Akufo-Addo won. So maximum 6 months, you will be able to sort out whatever outstanding issues there are for the project to begin. And they didn't do it. It was in April 2019 that they went for an additional $69.6 million to add to the 77 million, because the terminal project was divided into 2 phases. The first phase of it and then the second phase of it. So it was the first phase for which President Mahama found money. President Akufo-Addo waited to get the second phase so that they do it together, because according to the contractors, if that is done, they will save $4 million rather than doing it separately. So if you go to that airport and it is renamed Nana Adjumani Prempeh, the first international airport, know that a chunk of the work is attributable to the NDC. But rather there is Terminal 3, a 5 million passenger a year terminal, the best in West Africa, one of the best in Africa, done by President Mahama. The Tamale International Airport, and you do know that the first phase of it was done by President Mahama. Even the second phase, in fact, the same day, the same 3rd November, that the money was approved for the terminal building. The same bank that provided the financing, Banco Santander, also provided money for the Tamale Airport, except that it was also going to be done by the same contractor, except that at some point the bank had difficulties, so it pulled out. And the contractor found a new financing. I think it was a Deutsche Bank or so. They did it. So that also must be put on record. But Randy, President Mahama, if you go to the, and the reason why I'm reiterating this is that, and yes, I'll end very soon, I'll end on this. President Akufo-Addo says that this government, his government, has done the most work in railways. It is a definitive pronouncement that he made. Yesterday was not the first time he was saying so. So it is important to put that in proper perspective to clarify the issue. And it is not true that they have done the most work. What President Akufo-Addo can lay claim to is a rehabilitation of the Achimota to Nsawam line. It's about an 8-10 kilometer project. And then the Kojo Krom to Manso, which is a 22 kilometer project. But I'll tell you what the NDC did in railways. Randy, in November 2016, President Mahama actually commissioned 2 diesel engine trains to ply the Sekendi Kojo Krom Takrade rail project, which his government had done. It is a 15 kilometer project with 3 modern terminals. Then, President Mills had earlier done the Asopochona to Temahabo rail project, which was quite topical in those days, and you remember that clearly. Then, on 31st October 2016, President Mahama found $398 million from the Indian Exim Bank for a rail project called the Tema to Akosombo rail project. It was an 84.83 kilometer project. Randy, the same day that the money was approved, again, Dr. Adumakusi, because he's an MP and has sat through these things, appreciates this. A commercial contract between the Ghana Railway Development Authority, which is the agency of state that will be carrying out that project, was approved between the Ghana Railway Development Project and Afcons Infrastructure Limited of India. And the reason is that, as for Exim Bank projects, it is the country of origin that sends, and you know what they do? Money doesn't come through the government. They disburse the money straight to the contractor. Sometimes they bring it in the form of equipment, materials, and what have you. The role of the government of Ghana is to sign off that certain milestones have been reached. Randy, on 18th November, the contract was awarded by the Ghana Railway Development Authority to Afcons Construction to undertake the project. So the project started somewhere around 2018, I believe. Now, when this government came to power, they said that they thought that it could be extended from Akosombo, which was the terminal point for the original contract, to Mpakadan. In order to do that, more money had to be found. So in March of 2020, I'm sure Dr. Adumakusi took part in that, what do you call it? They found...
He wasn't there.
Oh, you are not in. You are not in. Oh, sorry about that. So then, Railway Minister Jogati took a facility to Parliament, $48.5 million from the same Indian Exim Bank to add 12 kilometers to the original 84-kilometer real project. So if President Akufo-Addo stands somewhere and says, right, if you come and meet money in an account and everything, contract signed, awarded to somebody, in fact, the only thing you have to do is do nothing so that the project will proceed, right? So you added 12 kilometers to an 84-kilometer rail project. So the assertion that this government has done more rail projects than any other is simply not true.
Right.
And then finally, I beg you, Andy, when you go to harbors, I heard President Akufo-Addo also say it, that they have more harbors, more landings, and whatever it is that they call it. And that cannot be true. How can anybody look at the MPS terminal at Tema and say that this government has more to show in the harbor sector than any other? The MPS terminal is now the biggest port in West and Central Africa. It cost $1 billion, but because of the ingenious financing mechanism, it is not on public books, so it will fund itself over some time. In fact, I hear that they are even preparing to launch a second phase to expand it further. We did the Takoradi Port Expansion Phase 1, which was around 300 million euros or so. We found the money for it. I think work began before this government took over. And you know Albert Rosentressam,
Yes.
former NDC firebrand of blessed memory. You know there was a fishing harbour in Takoradi, a small fishing harbour. So with a 55 million yen, a 55 million yen facility from Japan, JICA, the NDC government expanded and rehabilitated that fishing harbour, and it is bigger than anything this government has done. So in the maritime sector where harbours fall, President Akufo-Addo cannot sustain any claim that his government has invested more. And I could go on and on, but I know that you are hard. So please, Randy, to conclude, finally, let nobody in this government attempt to create the impression that they will win any debate on it.
We still have time.
I
mean, not today. I don't mean today. We still have time. The rest of it.
All right.
Just a few key points.
Comments.
One, I think he's prematurely making a judgment on the tracker, which, well, maybe he has good reasons. But let me be very, very firm on this. Listen, when you talk about, for instance, tertiary, the genitourinary infrastructure, the GU unit, Akolebu, the dollar value of that project alone can easily fund like a new Accra Polytechnic. Excuse me to say that. And this is why I think that it's unfair to be looking at things amiss, in the sense that you need to look at what has been done. And that's why I was drawing his attention to one key fact that...
a qualitative debate.
Qualitative, yes. Because that's why I was drawing his attention to the fact that, listen, a laboratory now of the Akufo-Addo regime is not what the Mohammeds left us. And these are listen, when it comes to TVET, for instance.
Because I have seen the
TVET.
Randy, and not to catch you, not Randy.
TVET.
In 2015, Professor Otu Ellis, the Vice Chancellor of K University, myself and then Deputy Minister for Education, Honorable Samuel Tablakwa, we visited K University. He personally conducted us around the laboratories that the NDC government had constructed in that school, including the petroleum laboratory.
You're even talking about tertiary laboratory. I'm talking about.
Oh, but of course, Randy, whose baby is that?
No, I mean,
what do you call it?
That's what
do you need to call it? The science resource centers. It is not true. I have had Randy.
No.
I'm coming.
Felix.
Very important point. Randy, I forgot something. You see, when we're in power, when I spoke about the STEM schools.
And as for TVET, you cannot compare to us. Based on the equipment.
No. Randy,
infrastructure.
But what equipment are you talking about? What the technical institutes that I've spoken about? Have you seen the equipment? Randy, have you seen the Accra Technical University new campus? Have you seen the equipment?
Even the STEM schools, the equipment.
Randy, let me talk about the STEM schools.
Some of them are bigger than what
I told you that the STEM schools,
which you know,
the STEM schools create room for only 27,000 students.
No, we're talking about the infrastructure.
What infrastructure? No.
And that is why I'm saying that you are making a very huge mistake.
Randy.
Yes.
Infrastructure is
provided. And we've even built more E-blocks than your government. Which you know.
It's not true. I'll explain it.
We've done more.
Not true.
We've done more than your own government.
Your STEM schools are 9 in number.
No, I'm saying the E-blocks.
They provide space for only 27,000 students. So every infrastructure added there is to cater for this volume.
No, I'm telling you that the e-blocks that the
It is not
Nandapa
true.
has done
Randy,
are more than what you did before you left.
Randy, let me
It is a
explain.
fact.
Let me explain. It's not a fact. Randy,
It is a fact.
we awarded contracts for 123 e-blocks.
Did you build them?
Yes, by
No, don't say that.
If you allow me to explain,
Don't
you've
say
made
that.
a claim. Let me explain to you.
Don't say that.
Because I have the evidence here.
Don't say
Randy,
that.
we awarded 123 in all between 2014
Do you know
and
how many
2016.
contracts we've also
I beg your
awarded?
pardon.
Please,
I beg
that's
your
what
pardon.
you've built.
Randy, by 2016, 80 of them had actually risen from the ground. Out of these 80, I followed President Mahama personally to commission 50 of them that were completed. Out of that 50, 42 of them had admitted students in the 2016-2017 academic year. Each one of them accommodates 1,500 students. When you do the maths, you are talking close to 70,000 students. And you compare that to 27,000.
No, but that is where I say you make a mistake.
What mistake?
Because
There's no mistake.
the population
there is no mistake.
to amenities.
Randy, no. What amenities? Randy, you have.
When we say amenities-
you have
But
a
these are specialized schools.
But Randy, at the end of the day, who is receiving education in them? 27,000 students.
No.
Randy, what is
Teacher
there?
to
But
student
the
ratio,
focus also
you cannot
on
miss
STEM.
it.
Randy, what is in a STEM school?
You
It is
cannot miss
basically
it.
a science laboratory.
No,
So
you
basically, you are
cannot miss
focused, you are focused on
Music,
Aren't
music,
you oversimplifying it?
music.
Randy, I'm
You
not oversimplifying.
are.
The point I'm making is
You
this,
are. I
that-
beg to differ.
Randy, why?
It's a grave
No, that's not
travesty.
Randy.
It's a
you
grave
call it a
travesty.
STEM school, but it is a school.
No,
nonetheless.
no, no,
You are
no,
not-
no, no.
You said that we are building. It's a new secondary
Please.
school. That's what it is.
Please.
So we are talking about new secondary
The
schools.
precepts have had additional
I beg you.
infrastructure.
About why?
You
Who
cannot
said that we
discount
didn't
it.
have additional infrastructure?
You cannot
Why?
discount
Look,
it.
Randy, when President Kufuor was leaving office, he had extended secondary school education
can't.
by a year to four.
I'm troubled
To four
by
years.
your
Randy, you remember that we had to do.
You spoke a lot.
No.
And I'm trying to
Because
tell you
no,
that
no,
that
you are
your-
saying
your
Randy,
assessment,
Randy, if you tell me that
your
Randy,
comparisons are
Randy, you are telling me that
out of place.
Randy, you are telling me that 9 STEM schools.
Our TVET kills all your
it's not,
TVETs.
it's not true. It's
and
not
that's
true.
a fact.
Doc, me, I have specifically mentioned
My
places
goodness.
where we've done this TVET infrastructure. Your STEM schools, and they have infrastructure for 27,000 students. They are actually secondary school students. You choose to call them STEM students.
No,
they
but-
teach
but-
science, mathematics, and what? Technology.
You've seen the number of classrooms.
Yes, they have classrooms for 27,000 people.
And those
Ah,
classrooms.
Randy,
Okay.
our community
By-
day schools
by
have
metrics.
classrooms. No,
It's okay.
Randy,
We need to
our
go.
community day schools have classrooms as of the time we're living for over 70,000 students. Yours have classrooms for 27,000 students. You are saying that we should
You are,
compare.
you are talking about just the STEM schools.
But
Those
yeah,
are
the
not the
STEM
only
schools have-
schools that they've
We
built.
have built
Yeah.
more
Randy, they have
e-blocks
not
than
built-
your
Randy,
government.
They have not built any secondary school apart from these STEM schools. That's
No,
the point I'm
no,
making
no,
to you.
no, no.
Which other
No,
secondary schools have built those?
And this is where
Which one? Which
this
one?
is
Name
where-
them.
So let me ask you a very simple
Ask
question.
me.
If we add 2 dormitories to Presec,
But Randy, who says we not added on? I didn't count that as secondary schools. So.
oh my goodness.
Randy, I gave you the
Okay.
breakdown.
So Doc, you know Mr. Kwabena Yeboah.
The name sounds very familiar.
Oluwa.
the I don't know what to call him. Celebrated is, veteran is, venerable is, whatever he is. Okay. And my favorite photographs of him is they show him when the last time Ghana won AFCON. What his hair was and now. So, and you know his penchant for vocabulary. Okay. So he says, Dr. Adumaku Kisi, such a shame, such an ingenious and vivid character, like Dr. Kisi will lose his seat with his phlegmatic nature. I suggest he becomes the chief communicator of the regime. He is refreshingly even-tempered and composed, not a vexatious irritant, defending things he shouldn't be defending.
Oh.
In the process, he gets everyone listening to him. Thank God for Good Morning Ghana. So
You need to send that to me.
Yes, I'll send it to you.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Maybe
Thank you.
he should have sent this before the primaries.
Well. You know, well.
Interesting. So, Randy, really, there can be no basis for a comparison of.
No, but I
So you
okay.
lose on the economic front.
I won't talk much.
You lose, and I have not even
But the
spoken about
tracker
health.
will blow
Randy,
your mind.
The agenda 111.
The tracker then by all cast. Oh,
But
you're
you-
prejudging.
Doc, we've seen your tracker before. There was one instance where they had a one-seater toilet. They presented as a project.
No.
To compete with a terminal building.
No.
Is that not
this one? There was this song.
Right,
There was this song, that the lady says her milkshake tasted better than yours. Let me tell you that our infrastructure are far bigger. The NDC will do a one-bedroom block.
Oh, no,
the MPP does 4-bedroom blocks.
Doc, it's not
that
true.
is the MPP.
It is not true.
So if you, that is
let me give
what
an
you
example.
need to
Okay,
know.
you speak about Adaklu.
Yes.
Right? Adi, if you're going to compare Adaklu to the tertiary desalination project.
No, but Adaklu is major.
So we need to
if you tell me I'll compare to borehole, I'll not take it.
Up next, GMG Trends. Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. Time to check out what is trending on social media with Desi. Yes, Desi.
Doc, good morning.
Good morning.
It's a vivacious.
You want to?
Good morning to you, sir.
You want to follow Mr. Kwabran?
Oh, he's a senior man. He's a big man.
You have a lot of reading to do.
Yeah, because the brofu there. This one.
He said, such an ingenious and vivid character with his phlegmatic nature. He says he's refreshingly even-tempered and composed, not a vexatious irritant.
This guy brofu, not a vexatious irritant. I've stolen that one. I'll use it on someone. You're such a. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. The last time I saw him was he stopped me by the roadside. I just have been watching you like, oh, I'm the legend himself.
As always on Good Morning.
That's good to know. But Doc, Asamo.
What is that?
Matter Day.
What's that?
Komi kekena that we eat to satisfy our soul. The pepper. They say now they will sell the pepper.
Yes. It's the cost of tomatoes, pepper, and onions.
Then one song came to mind. Once more, come here, I have the song. Let's watch it. When we come back, we'll talk about this matter. Once more, come here, can I just come on me, give me one kenke. Once more, come here. Yes, I look at it. How you come here, fried rice, or say fried rice was Brady. You are now there, I understood. But how? Do you know when I was in UCC, there was this particular place that used to buy kenke. Hey, Mama, not no. So if you don't have money, you don't go to that stand. Because you sell the jelly to you. So now the whole pepper that they've grinded to, they'll sell. You now you're thinking about kinky one ball, which is now 5 cities. Then now in China, I'm could do better 10 cities. Only my hair better. So maybe you say you go and do raw, but you could swear 2. Now you have to buy the pepper.
Pepper one Ghana.
It's a big problem. Please. They should look at it first. They should review the,
Review what?
They should review the.
When food inflation was going up and the prices were changing by heart, were you reviewing it?
Right now, you have to go to the Agric Ministry.
To do what? They should bring tomatoes and pepper and onion to the ministry.
So that we can go and buy
sellers can go and buy.
Yeah.
Concert people.
If not, we are in trouble. We beg you, over the our mothers and our aunt, our mothers. In my grandma, over me in bubble five, in Pepe, by selling.
Eshito.
Eshito. Nyeka ho ashito. Ah, ovane. We cannot buy a. And I go around as well, so beto, you know.
Gobezo moton bibia.
The guy that won't put it until open where I can say, oh, they offer me bring so concrete.
As you almost started
Anyway, yesterday the son of dog. Did you see the president's
is what?
As they give us some the minority they give morale, they do also look at these people. Play that video for me. It was a very funny one from the president. El Presidente, I was saying, hey, look at you people. Me two bouquets. The president say, you know, yeah. And they try to do something. I don't know how to do it.
How to twist it to the side?
To the side, okay. El Presidente. Someone wrote that one of the things we'll miss about not being the president is every time there's a public appearance, there's like some niceness to it, you know. Like
the last time was this one.
But I don't know how Dr. Babia was feeling though.
Why?
The way they want to way like the minority everywhere, GM, Beba, GM, I don't know. But shake your body small, but let's see how it goes in December. All right, so today there's all been about Sona on social media, a lot of people talking about it. And of course, shouts to Fatau, he's been trending also after he scored that. Yes, after he scored that goal yesterday.
In the 64th minute.
Yeah.
He was voted
man of the match for that winning goal, amazing goal. That's his trademark goal though. He's been scoring that for a while. He's in 6 games since he's been back. He scored 2 goals, 2 assists for Leicester, and looks like he's in a very hot form there. So he's also been in the trends this morning on Twitter. So on that note, get your monies ready. Now they're in account. As I say, that should make you a non-vexatious irritant. You shouldn't be irritated
in a
vexatious manner. You should be, or you should where I could be the patience part. Something tempered. Yes.
Okay, you want me to read it for you again?
Look, let's do English language.
All right. So it says, such an ingenious and vivid character.
What?
With his phlegmatic nature. He is refreshingly even-tempered and composed. That's what we're looking for.
Evenly tempered.
Refreshingly even-tempered and composed. Not a vexatious irritant. Defending things he shouldn't be defending.
So you cannot be Sergio Ramos for everything. That's what he's saying. You have to be evenly tempered. Refreshingly. It has to be refreshing. And then after that one, you have to be a vexatious irritant.
You shouldn't be.
Hey, you shouldn't you shouldn't be a vexatious irritant. Defending what you cannot defend.
Like who? A vexatious irritant like who? You can do what the footballers do and tell me. Up next, Metro Sports.